Hello, welcome to the lecture series on automobile engineering. Now we will discuss differential. You have seen already the drivetrain and differential, the device. It receives the torque from the gearbox, modifies and transmits to the wheels in a perpendicular direction. And also the differential advantage is it allows each wheel to rotate at different speeds. Correct? Especially when the vehicle is taking a turn. Basically the components of differential are, one is crown wheel and pinion, what you call it as the final drive. Then you have differential gears. You can see here, this is what at the end of the propeller shaft we would connect this pinion will drive this crown gear. Correct? So there will be a reduction in these things. You can see to this crown gear we have one, it's a blue colored one, just connected this gears, this gear. Correct? Also this gear. Now we have left axle and the right axle. You see here now this part, as I said, crown gear, the pinion which drives this final drive, right? Then this part you can call it as a differential. When the vehicle is running straight like this, this whole thing will act as a single unit. It will rotate along with this single unit, right? Now suppose you are taking a turn. When you are taking a turn, the inner wheel has to cover shorter distance compared to the outer wheel. That time what happens is this wheel, when it was straight, it will not be rotating. Even this will start rotating. These two wheels will also start rotating. That's how the differentiation happens. So that the one shaft will be rotating faster than the other shaft. Correct? So that the shaft which rotates faster will cover more distance, and the shaft which rotates at a lower speed covers less distance. That's how it works. Correct? It is not locked or something like that. It is just, you can see the moment you are taking a turn and all that, then what happens is this will start rotating. When this start rotating, this is a free shaft, so this will rotate more and it will cover up more distance like this. This is what really happens. In this differential, one thing you can see here, power is nothing but 2 pi n t, where t is the torque. Torque remains the same. So one will get, so 2 pi n t is a torque will be same in both the cases. So when the torque is same, one is rotating at less speed, another is rotating at higher speed. So one will get more power and the other one will get the less power. So this is rotating less, so it will get the less power. This is rotating more, so it will get more power. But the torque remains the same. So that's how it works. Correct. When you are taking other turns, so the same thing will happen. This is the one which will vary this. Please remember, when it is going straight, this is rotating, this is rotating, and this part, this gear, because connected to this bracket, along with this it will be rotating. But whenever the differential takes a turn, even this gear will start rotating about this, so that you will get an additional motion. It rotates because of this is rotating, also it further rotates because of this rotation. So that's how one will have more higher speed, other side it will have subtraction, it will have lower speed. So one will cover more distance, other one will cover less distance. In this case, the torque transmitted will remain the same. One which runs at higher speed gets the more power, and one which runs at a lower speed gets the less power. Right? That's how it works. Now, what is the disadvantage of this? Disadvantage of this is, suppose this vehicle is moving on a road. Let us say one of the wheels will be on the slippery road. The mu value, the friction is low, slippery. Other is on dry road. Dry road. So now when this wheel is on the slippery road and this wheel is on the dry road, so the torque remains the same, and this gets more power and it will be simply spinning. It will be getting less power. Correct? It will not be able to drive through. That is what exactly is going to happen now. Correct? The same torque will be flowing. So that is a basic problem. So it will not be, suppose one of the wheels is on the slippery road and other is in the dry road, it is difficult to overcome those kind of things in a conventional differential. So the best way is to somehow we should increase the torque of the wheel which is on the dry surface and reduce the torque on these kind of things, so that it will move and take things forward. So that's why there are many mechanisms available to do these things. So this thing, right? So either you lock this way, correct? So that it will rotate along with this. You completely, you can lock this. So as it rotates, this will also start rotating and take the more torque. Other side it will start slipping. Another way they call it as something like limited slip differential. The idea is same. That means the whole thing, like through this casing, you lock with this ring gear and kind of things. The ring gear, this you lock right through the casing with this ring gear, so that as this rotate, this will also rotate and get more torque. Correct? So as it gets more torque, whichever is on the dry road, and it will move forward and it will take the vehicle along with that. So that is what we call it as a differential lock. So that differential lock can be used and we can overcome this kind of difficulties. So in this here, how exactly a differential works has been explained like through a video. So this is the link for that video. You can click on that and you can see, of course, this is the video. And also how exactly a limited slip differential works, that has also can be seen or can be understood using this video, which is also on the YouTube. Okay, this is how the differential works. Now we'll continue with the other topic, that is transaxle. Now let us discuss transaxle. So a front engine, front wheel drive vehicles, we can use the whatever differential we use, we call this as the transaxle. Now you can see here, this is the engine, then you have the transmission, right? We do not have any propeller shaft or anything like that. Then you can see This is the differential part of it. Okay, this is the front axles, this is the front axles. So this device, the flywheel, the clutch, the transmission and the differential put together, we call this as a transaxle. Okay, so this you can find in front engine, front wheel drive vehicles. Okay, now this shaft, this is what we call them as half shafts. Is what I show, half shafts. And this is what you can call it as the constant velocity joints. Here you have a constant velocity joint, here you have a constant velocity joint, here you have like this. How transaxle works, you can see, you can watch this video. That video will explain the working of transaxle. Then wheels. You know, wheels carry the load of the vehicle and transmit the torque to the tires. Wheels are supported in wheel bearings. So based on way in which the load is carried and the torque is transmitted, the axle can be classified as semi-floating, 3/4 floating is also there, fully floating axle. Let us see what they mean by that. See, I am talking about semi-floating. So this is the live shaft, axle shaft. Of course, here you have your differential, live axle shaft. This is the casing, axle housing or whatever you can call it. Axle housing. This is the live axle. Between the axle housing and the live shaft, you have the bearings, wheel bearings. Then you have the wheel. So load is on this. Is that okay? Now here completely it is coming onto the wheels like this. This is driven by the shaft. That is semi-floating. In this you see again you have the differential. You can observe over here. Then you see the casing. Here the casing you have, bearings you have. Okay, and the wheel is mounted on this. So part of the load is taken by this, and also load is taken on this by these bearings, by the casing. That is what happens in the fully floating axle. Here again 3/4 floating axle also we have. So you can observe here, suppose if you have the wheel over here, correct. So partly on this, partly on this, you will get it. So in which the vehicle load as well as the torque are transmitted by the axle shaft. That's what I said. Axle shaft. Correct? In the fully floating, axle shaft only transmits the drive torque to the wheels. The vehicle load is taken up by the rear axle housing. See here, on the housing, the load comes. Okay, that is the difference between fully floating and semi-floating, and there is a 3/4 floating. Okay, how exactly the wheels work? You can play this, like the wheels part of it. You can play this video and understand this. So again, we have this. We can also learn how to transmit, the drivetrain or drive line of multi-axle vehicles, right? Multi-axle vehicles. So multi-axle vehicles normally used for higher weight carrying capacity. Handling of the vehicles is much better with the multi-axle, and so also the comfort in this vehicle will be much better compared to two axle trucks. These are some of the designs of the drive lanes for heavy vehicles. You can see here you have the transmission, then you have the drive shaft, then you are driving this axle. Also it's connected and driving this axle. So this is how we can multi-axis, we can draw this one of the designs, this is another possible design. So there are many such, as we number of axles go increases, as I said, comfort and weight carrying capacity will increase, handling will improve, and of course this drive line becomes quite complex. Now let us talk about now wheels. So now the wheel rims are attached to the wheel, correct now, and carry the tire and tube at the other end. So this is how we say this is the wheel diameter, and is what we call it as the offset. The diameter of the wheel rim is specified in inches. It can be 16 inches or 15 inches rim diameter. Wheel rim offset, it is a difference between the wheel rim center and the wheel rim mounting face. I'll show you what it is. This is 6J cross 15 sometime, right? So wheel rim diameter is 15 inches. Wheel rim offset is 6 inches, like this. So then on this we mount your tire, right? Now the thing is, there are again different types of tires. We have cross ply tires and radial ply tires. Cross ply tires and radial ply tires. You see here. Now in the cross ply. Okay. So the ply has this, plies are kept one over the other. So you can see here these cards are running in this direction. Here the cards are running in this direction. Here they are running like this. Maybe it's a 45 degree or 90 degree opposite we do. This is what we call it as cross ply or bias tire. Radial is not like this. The same thing, one over the other, we go on putting those, right? Those ply cards. Of course, we'll have steel plies, steel belt, again you'll have ply. Like this, you can have this. This is what we call it as a radial tire. So cross ply radial tire, again, the difference can be understood by running this video. So how do we specify the tire? One word that we use is called aspect ratio, which is given by tire height and tire width. So this is the tire width we are talking about. Then one section I have taken out, and tire height into 100. This we call it as aspect ratio. Aspect ratio of 65. So what is the tire height? Suppose the tire width is something like 220 mm. Okay, so you can just cross multiply and you can get always the tire height like that. So now tire specification. This is how it will be written: P 235 bar 75 R 15. P stands for passenger car. This is what the tire width is, 235 mm. This is what the aspect ratio. Then you can get the height. R stands for radial tire, and 15 the wheel rim diameter inches. These are the tires are specified. Again, in the other system you can look at this. See here, tire width inches, wheel rim diameter inches, ply rating, 8 ply rating. That is the thing we can talk about. Another way tire specifications are given. So the complete specification that are available on a tire are all specified over here. Correct? You can observe here. So some of the specification, you can very clearly see who made this, when this was made, What are its specifications? Everything will be given here. So load and pressure requirements, commercial name and ID, manufacturer's name and brand, tire construction details, tubeless or tube type or something like that. So ECE type, approval mark and number, the alternative ECE mark, approved mark, tires specifically designed for mud and snow. What is the purpose? All these ideas, all these details will be available on the tire. Right. So how they make the tire? Probably this video is available. Otherwise, you please on the YouTube, you just type the question how tires are made. Many videos appear, and you can pick up whichever video you want, and you can watch those video and understand how tires are made. Okay, and how tires are tested also you can see the difference between tubeless tire and correct the traditional right tire tube system. These things also you can understand. Okay, so here tires tube and tubeless tire, tube type tire and all that. So tubeless tire, the difference I have given, correct. Directly you can see that this is the part in the tire. Directly we are filling air into this region, correct, into this region. This is a cross section. Here it is not like that. We are filling it to the tube and all that. Okay. If some puncture happens, automatically this gets locked up like this. So the air is held inside the tire and a rim here. In case of a puncture, the air from the tubeless tire escapes very slowly here. This improves safety as you do not lose control on vehicle in case of puncture. Care should be taken not to damage rim when changing or repairing a tire. This is what the tubeless tire advantages are compared to this. Okay, so now hope we have understood the complete driveline system. Next we'll study in detail about brakes. Okay, till then, okay, we'll consider brakes in the next session. Now, thank you.